Today we're going to take a look at a watch from the Armitron Retro Collection. This is the Rubik, or model number 40/8474NVSV. Let's get right into it. The Rubik goes for $55 on the Armitron website. However, it's very easy to find promo codes, and Armitron usually does discounts throughout the year. So for example, I purchased my Rubik for around $30. And let's just take a quick look at a 360 view, just so you can see what we're dealing with here. I think all in all, we've got a pretty good looking watch. Very simple and of course true to the retro style. For case diameter, the Rubik comes in at 34 millimeters. And then for case height or thickness, we get 9.6 millimeters. And then a lug to lug of 39 millimeters. And then a band diameter or band width of 18 millimeters. And for weights, the Rubik is going to come in at 79 grams or 2 3/4 ounces. Here's the wrist shot on my 7.5 inch wrist. So it's not the largest watch, but I think it fits just fine. Going over those functions and features, starting from the outside. So for the case and the bracelet, we've got stainless steel, which is absolutely fantastic. Working our way inside to that crystal, we do have an acrylic crystal. However, that's exactly what I would expect in this caliber of watch, so I'm fine with an acrylic crystal. If we look at the back, you can see that we've got a metal case back. It's not a screw down or screw case back, it's just a snap off case back, which again is, what you would expect with this style. We've also got 4 pushers, so 2 on each side. And just for the sake of this video, we will label the pushers A, B, C, and D. So button A changes the watch from 12 to 24-hour mode, and also puts you in adjust mode after you hold it for a few seconds. Button B will display the calendar data. Button C turns on the backlight, and then button D will change whatever mode you're in. Now going through the different modes, we're in alarm mode, and here you can turn on or off the alarm. It's just the one alarm, but you can also set an hourly chime, and you would do so by pushing this button. This button. So that's alarm on, and then hourly chime on, and then both the alarm and the hourly chime on, or all off. Here's your stopwatch, your dual time, and then back to your main time screen. And this entire watch provides you a water resistance of 50 meters. And here's a shot of the backlight. It's definitely not the greatest in my experience with watches, but this is what you're getting, so I just wanted to share that with you. Looking at the presentation of the dial or the display, It's a small screen. We're looking at 19 millimeters by 8.5 millimeters, but it's a very simple display, so there's not a lot to show, but it still comes out very clear, and it's easy to look at the time or any kind of data, outside, inside. And just for a quick comparison, here is the Timex T80, and so right off the bat, you can tell immediately how much sharper the Rubik is coming through. And that's just because of the style of display. And also, if you look at just the artwork, if you want to call it that, we've got the light blue contrasted by the dark blue, and then that little swimmer up top there. So it really does give this watch a sport feel. And I don't know, it's kind of a nice touch. For the bezel, or at least the surrounding ring around the crystal, there's really not any kind of protection there, so just keep that in mind. If you were to drop this face down onto any kind of surface, you do run the risk of scratching it very easily. But aside from that, it's stainless steel, so I cannot complain, and I'm very happy about that. And you can see on the edges, we've got the beveled edges, which I think ties the whole package together really well. Looking at those pushers, I really like how they did them. Very easy to press, and it's just satisfying. They've got that spring resistance to it, so they push back, not too much, not hard to press at all. And also they're metal, so again, with the tying the whole package together, the pushers do a great job doing that as well. For the bracelet, as you can see, we've got the quick adjust clasp, so very easy to size to your wrist. As you can see on mine, I pretty much have it set as large as you can have it set. And I've got a 7.5 inch wrist. So for those of you with 8-inch wrist, this probably is not going to fit you. However, with the straight end bracelet, it's very easy to get a different band or bracelet for your size. As far as the material, it's flimsy steel, but it's exactly what you would expect with a retro style watch. And I honestly think this is better than what you're gonna get from other retro watches. For the Caseback, I'm very pleased with what I am receiving here. So it's nothing special, but I don't know, I just like it. The stainless steel sheen or shine to it really just makes it look cool. For finishing, we've got a brushed polish or brushed finishing throughout the entirety of the case, which really does make this more of a beater watch, if that's what you want to call it. But I like that. It's maybe not a tool watch, but it very well could be. It's got a decent water resistance, and that finishing is going to survive really anything. I've worn this at the gym, doing all kinds of yard work and grunt work around the house, and I've had no worries about the finishing or scratching, the surface at all. So for my overall thoughts, I don't really have too much experience with Armitron. I definitely have had some of their watches in my collection, but it's really just one of those brands that I don't particularly pay any attention to, just because they're kind of like a cheap brand, right? At least in my opinion, they're the watches that I always ignore when I go on a Walmart trip. But let me tell you, my experience with these retro watches is really changing how I think about the company. So right off the bat, hands down, these retro watches, but today we're talking about the Rubik. The Rubik is probably the best retro style watch that you can find on the market. And I'm considering all factors, price being the largest one. But the fact that you can get an all metal retro watch such as this for less than $55, and $55 is what you're going to pay out the door, but you know, if you spend 5 minutes looking for a promo code and then you get a first time purchaser discount, it's very easy to lower the MSRP. But even at 55, I think that is a steal, because you almost have to beg on your hands and knees to any other watch company to get an all metal retro watch. And just comparing it to a Timex T80, and I'm only doing this because, you know, they're kind of similar, but the T80, I will say the T80 has more charisma, and that might just be because of the Timex name, but it's immediately apparent when you get both watches in hand, just how much more substantially dense the Rubik feels, and not in a bad way. It feels dense as in it's got more packed in there with quality, and then this one with its cheap plastic case, there is no comparison. If I had to come up with a complaint, there are two, and they are minor. Number one would be the backlight, but I say minor because this style of backlight is no different than what you would get on any other vintage style or retro style watch. So if that is the industry standard, then I'm not going to hold that against the Rubik, especially at this price range. The second complaint would be the snap-off caseback, and that is just my preference. I don't like snap-off casebacks. They're just more of a pain in the ass to me. You run the risk of just destroying the crystal if you press it, you know, in the wrong angle. I like screw-down casebacks or casebacks that are secured by screws. But other than that, this is a serious watch. This is a legitimate watch, and not just some cheap gas station Walmart watch. With the all metal construction and the great feature set, albeit very simple, but isn't that what makes digital watches fantastic? So the simple feature set and just the ease of use, ease of adjusting the size, everything about it, I think this is an absolute winner. So for those of you who have never really followed Armitron, I think this would be a great introduction into the brand. Just to manage your expectations, a majority of their watches are kind of like the cheapo gas station Walmart watches, but you know, some of the watches in their collection, like this one, are just, you know, absolute winners. So I definitely recommend this, and I recommend that you look at their retro line. They've got a lot of great options there, and that's all I got to say. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.